Welcome to Real World Peaceful Parenting, a podcast for parents that are tired of yelling, threatening, and punishing their kids. Join mom and master certified parent coach Lisa Smith as she gives you actionable, step-by-step strategies that'll help you transform your household from chaos to cooperation. Let's dive in.
Welcome to today's episode. And boy, are you in store for a real treat today. Because first off, let me say, today is the 100th episode of Real World Peaceful Parenting. And that, my friends, is a milestone. For 100 weeks, I have brought you tips and tools and coaching and support on the path to peaceful parenting. And I could not be more proud of you or me. I could not be more proud of the work we've done here together and the progress you've made on the path to peaceful parenting. So I wanted to treat you to something extra special today. Today, I am joined by a group of amazing progress, not perfection parents who are all members of the Hive. And as you know, the Hive is my membership community where we work on the path to peaceful parenting, where we work on connecting with our kids to get maximum cooperation, where we move away from commanding and expecting compliance from our kids. And I thought that it would be a real treat for you today to hear from actual Hive members who are using these tools day in and day out in their homes, with their parenting, with their co-parents, and with their children. So without further ado, let me welcome Juliana, Dina, Viv, Dominique, Tina, and Katie. And over the next few minutes, we're going to take a little trip on their journey of peaceful parenting. And first of all, let me say thank you all so much, so much for being here. And I'm so thrilled to have you all as guests on the podcast and to share your story. So let's jump in. Let's start with Dina. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is where you started on this journey. So share with us, Dina, where you were at in your words before you found the Hive, the podcast, Peaceful Parenting, and myself.
Well, thank you, Lisa, for having me on today. I'm really excited to be able to talk and share my experiences with other people. This is a fantastic group to be part of. But where was I before? I felt alone. I really felt like there was no other people that were going through some of the things that I was going through in my parenting journey. I was looking for support. It was loud in my house. There was a lot of screaming and yelling. There was a lot of just difficulties all over the place with my daughter. And I didn't know where to turn to. So I was looking for tools and how to make things better because I didn't like where I was anymore. I didn't like the yelling, the screaming. Nothing seemed fun anymore. And so I was really feeling alone and out of touch.
Okay. Yes. Very common, that feeling alone, right? That's just, I think a lot of us can relate to that. And listener, if you feel alone, it's easy because there's so much shame and guilt around all that stress in the household that we tend to not want to talk about it because it doesn't feel safe. And that isolates us even further and causes us to feel alone. So thank you, Dina, for being so open and sharing that. Viv, tell us about where you started.
So it was about 3 years ago. It was right when COVID was hitting. And my oldest at the time would have been around 9 years old. And I felt like being an angry mom was just my lot in life. Like I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't know if I could fix it. I just thought it would be something that I would always have. And then I jumped on a free masterclass with you. And all of a sudden it was like, there is something else out there possible. I can go on this journey of peaceful parenting and I can learn tools and I can begin to understand my own thoughts. And so therefore, peaceful parenting was a possibility. I know I was definitely an angry mom. I would yell to get my kids' attention. And I always wanted my kids to do it right. And I was constantly using punishments. If you didn't do it right, then you're going to get a punishment. And they're just, now I know, I was missing that connection with them. And that is something that I really wanted, but didn't know how to get to. So it's like, I wanted to get from A to B, but I didn't think I could, and I didn't know how.
Yeah.
So joining the Hive and working with you, it's like the how became possible and the connection became a reality instead of just a hope.
Connection became a reality instead of just a hope. That's so beautiful. And, I think that it happens a lot in families. We know what we want and we just don't know how to get it. And I think that's, one of the beautiful things when a parent takes a leap and takes a chance on getting some tools, no matter what, whether they're with me or someone else. I just feel so much hope for the world because, yeah, like you said, you thought it was your lot in life to be an angry parent. And that connection, you just needed some guidance. You just needed someone to say, try this, do this, don't do that. Think about this, approach it this way, and boom, magic happened, right?
Absolutely. Connection.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Dominique, tell us your story.
So my house was just angry and overwhelming, and I just felt like I was always yelling to be heard. And I felt like my kids were coming up in kind of the same situation that I was, where fear was how my household was ruled. And I don't want that for my kiddos because I want them to be emotionally stable humans when they grow up. So I had just been so angry and just looking for a way to make peace in my household without all of the screaming and all of the threatening and the spanking, because I never wanted to be a spanking parent, but I did what I learned growing up and I hated it. I hated being that parent. So now I have learned connection with my kids, which is great for them and great for me, because I come home to not screaming and yelling and begging them to cooperate with me. We sit and we have a conversation about what we need to do. And we talk about our days together. And then we accomplish all of the tasks that have to be accomplished in the evening. Mm-hmm. And it's like night and day from what I started with and where I am now. And I just, like a lot of people, found a masterclass for free and joined it. And in a little less than a year, I feel like my parenting has gone from angry and demanding and dominant to peace and connection. And I enjoy the time I get with my kids so much more because of peaceful parenting.
Oh, Dominique, that makes my heart sing. I don't think I'll sleep for a week after this, recording this with you all. I mean, seriously, I hope I can hold it together during this, because just to hear that, sometimes I hear people say things like, the world is, going to HE double toothpick in a handbasket. And I'm like, no, it's not. There's so many parents out there fighting for their kids to be able to identify their emotions and understand their needs. Just hearing you all talk makes me so optimistic for our kids' future, because we're breaking cycles. We're doing it differently. We're showing up in a completely different way for our kids, in a completely different way. And it's going to change the world. Right, Tina? Tell us your story.
Yeah, so mine's actually very similar to Dominique. Before I joined the Hive, I felt like I was just stuck in a continuous cycle, pretty much two of them. One was the cycle of the generational yelling that I grew up in that household. And like, while I love my parents very much, they love me, I think that's probably also a cycle that they picked up on too. So, and when I became a parent, and almost immediately I saw that cycle start to occur in my parenting. And I didn't know anything different. So I felt like I was in this cycle with my parenting of just yelling at this innocent small child. I will try and hold it together as well. She's completely innocent and she's receiving this treatment that is, just, I looked at her one day and she was responding to me and people around her the way that I responded to her when I couldn't hold it together. And I looked at her, I was like, this will not be your life. And it was just like meant to be. Like that same week, I'm just Googling like podcasts and I found yours and went to the master class, and I was in a cycle and I feel like I'm 95% out of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, Tina, I remember the day I met you. I remember the day I met all of you. Like it's in my brain interacting with you in the masterclass and then Peaceful Parenting 101 and then, you joining the Hive and to see the growth. And it's not even for me as much the growth as the confidence that you have in your parenting and the approach in your home. It doesn't matter what I think. It matters how you feel about your parenting, because when you feel at peace and calm and confident in parenting, like I have the tools to withstand the storm, I know exactly what to do, you start to model that. And that is a game changer for your children. That confidence, I can feel it even in my own parenting, how I approach my son, the confidence I have in the connection and the guidance. And it changes the dynamic in the home, even if the other parent isn't participating, right? Even if the other parent, or there isn't a parent in the home, maybe you're co-parenting in two separate homes, that confidence you bring to your children, it's like they feel safer because my parent got it. They know what they're doing. They're resting in the security of knowing how to calmly approach things. I imagine to the child, it just feels so much safer than that frenetic storming alongside the parent, right? All right, Juliana, tell us your story.
Thank you so much, Lisa, and fellow moms, to allow me to be here. I want your listeners to know that I dressed up for our occasion because I really wanted my outside and my heart showing the respect that I am feeling for you and for the beautifulness of how life turned around in our household. Although they don't see my outside, I wanted you to understand it also through my necklace and all the beautiful things that you brought in our life. So you are asking, how our household looked like. My story is very similar to Viv's story. I found you during that COVID time. I was searching for any type of help at that point because our household, just like the other moms are sharing here, was very loud. They were days that I believed, that my neighbors at the corner will knock at our door because they hear that during homework time or this whole homeschooling time, I am yelling at my child that you don't understand it, pay attention, stay calm, focus, and just do it. And this was the time that I really started searching. And like the others, I found this type of parenting on the internet. And without any hesitation, I signed up. Probably during those 3 occasions, the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday that you are offering in the masterclass, I made like a half a book full of notes. And I started reading it also on our day offs. And something just spoke to me that this is it. This is what I was searching for. And when you offered that we can sign up, that you have a program and the program's name is The Hive, I didn't hesitate it for a second. I signed up right there and there. And from that moment on, I changed the energy in our household. I changed the way of communication in our household. The other major thing, how our house was, that I was always fearful and always had this giant feeling on my heart, sitting there very heavy on my shoulders, that something is just about to happen. I was at the edge of a breakdown. And what am I going to do? How I'm going to handle it? Because I read all the parenting books. I was trying to find local helps here, like a counselor or a psychiatrist, but they did not understand the type of the problems that I had with my son. So when I found you, when I heard the principles that you are teaching, it instantly clicked with me like the key in a lock. And I was able to use these techniques instantly from day one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very, very grateful for this.
Well, you look beautiful. So thank you for dressing up. And I love how much you want to convey this, Juliana. And, I can't help but touch on this. And I am curious, Juliana, and anyone else who wants to chime in here. You said, no one understood what you were going through. And you thought that, you needed tools to fix your son. But let's all kind of have a chuckle about this. One of the things we quickly figure out is the person that we really need to work on is not our kid or kids, but the starting point is us, right? We have to get ourselves regulated so that we can come alongside and co-regulate with our children, and then they can eventually regulate themselves. Yeah.
Right. That's absolutely correct. At my workplace, we used to have a beautiful bag. And then the writing on the bag was that it's all about me. And in this case, really, it comes back to this basic that it's all about me. And with your teaching, if I am staying regulated, then I can show up and be the parent from that headspace for my kid when my kid is going through the tantrums, the loud voices, and then he is dysregulated. Mm-hmm. And this is the first step that it took me also longer, I think, but I understood that golden rule that I'm only able to change myself and I'm only really in charge of myself. But if I do this, if I do your principles, your advice, your views, then it gets easier and easier because it's like a muscle that we are using daily. And I can get stronger. My self-confidence goes up. My belief about the good enough mother that I am goes up.
I love that. I love that. Dina, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, just listening to her talk and sitting here saying how in many times now when my daughter starts to storm, I look at her and I say, wow, she's just having a hard time. She's not giving me a hard time. She's just having a hard time. And I just give her the space and I pause for a minute and let her just have her big emotions instead of jumping in and trying to fix it or talk through it or whatever. I just kind of step back and let it happen, which keeps me regulated and lets her feel her emotions. And it's just now a beautiful thing where before I just wanted to like jump all over or fix it, or I had something to say back about what she was doing. And now I just step back and just let it happen because she needs to feel her emotions and I can just be there to support her and validate her and say, yes, I hear you. I hear that this is difficult, and just give her the space to move through it.
And that's really big growth for you, isn't it?
Yes, it is very big growth. And there's a lot of times where I still want to jump in and fix it. I mean, there's been sad times. It's really hard as a parent to watch your child really be sad about something. My child switched schools, and the day she did it, it was like she's in tears, I'm in tears, but yet I'm just letting her talk about how hard it is as we're walking out of the school. And I'm just validating it for her as she's very emotional. And I just want to fix it and say, oh, it'll be okay. You'll love your new school, whatever. But I didn't do that. I just let her feel her emotion because I didn't know what it was going to be like. And I just wanted her to know that she was safe and she was being heard.
Well, and, I can't help but add in what all humans want is to feel seen, heard, and valued. We don't necessarily want every problem to be fixed. That's not a core basic need. Fix my problems is not a core basic need. What is hear me, see me, value me. So when I'm scared and I'm 8 years old and I'm scared and upset that I'm leaving a school because I can't see that it's going to be better for me. And you're just there to let me be sad. You give me space. I feel seen, heard, and valued. Then I want to cooperate more down the road. I feel more connected, and cooperation follows connection. So it takes some work. It takes some practice. As Juliana said, we have to build that muscle, right? But when we get there, there's real connection with our children rather than fixing their problems, solving for them, commanding them into compliance, stuffing their feelings down, getting mad at them when they have big emotions, all of that. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Dominique, tell me what you think about this.
So kind of going off of both Juliana and Dina's message is that I also had to make myself give them space because I was also a recovering perfectionist. And so I always want to go in and fix and jump, and also saying, I'm sorry, but, and that's something that I've had to really work on, because that's not an apology. And that's something that really, when I heard it through the class saying, I'm sorry, but it's not really an apology. I do that and did that all the time. So now I'm really learning to say, I'm sorry. And
yeah, that is a whole sentence. I am sorry. There's a noun and a verb in there and a period at the end.
Yes. And also how connection with everyone. I mean, this whole experience, the Hive, has taught me how to connect with people, not just my kiddos, but letting and understanding that everyone is just trying to get a need met at any given moment in time. And that realization is paramount, because I'm a fixer. I have to fix everything. But that's not necessarily what everybody needs. It's just letting people have their emotions and have their everyday life, and as in the position that I'm in, where I'm kind of the middle person in management, these are tools that I needed, not just for my kiddos, but for my everyday life. Yeah. And so it's been huge for me to really understand that not everybody's just trying to frustrate you or have everybody's having their own space, that they have their own stuff going on, and being able to hold space for people and my kids and just everyone in my life that needs that has been huge for me, because I wasn't able to do that before.
Oh, gosh, I love that. We do say in the Hive that a rising tide lifts all boats, and the Hive is the rising tide. And if you're doing this work, to your point, every relationship in your life will get better, including the one you have with yourself. And as you were talking, I'm having an aha moment right now, because what I just had the thought of is that when I am trying to fix other people, right, which I don't really do anymore. I'm also a recovering people pleaser. But I think when one is trying to fix other people, the other thing you're denying yourself is an opportunity to feel your feelings, right? If I'm up in your business trying to fix everything you're, quote, doing wrong, I'm not giving myself any space to feel my feelings. And, one thing we talk about in the community is that peaceful parenting is when we're trying for everyone to get their needs met, right? And everyone's feelings matter. And so I need to take my feelings into account, right? So, Dina, you were saying when your daughter switched schools, I'm sure that unknown of, is she going to be happy? Is this the right decision? She's so sad. I feel bad about this. It wasn't your daughter's decision. It was your decision, right? And we have to give ourselves space to feel, as parents, big feelings come up. It is hard, right? We can all agree. It is hard to watch our kids fall down, be disappointed, be mad, hurt their sibling, be upset, be rejected, not get the part in the play, be excluded from a birthday party, have to change schools, be called a name, not have co-parents show up on time. Like, that's hard to watch as a parent. And part of what we have to do is feel our own feelings rather than avoid them, buffer them by going into fix-it mode. And I think that is an important part of the journey, is getting in touch with our own feelings. Right, Tina? That's been a large part of what you've had to do, right? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. As you were talking, I was remembering my one really big aha moment, which was we were talking about healing your inner child wounds. And I remember the day that I sat there and said, well, why was I always yelling? Why does it bother me so much? And I remembered that it's because that's what was happening to me when I was a younger child. I used to go up into my room and I would hear my parents yelling all night long. And I never really put two to two together because I had kind of locked that door and closed it away. So in this journey, I was able to open that and really have a moment and really understand why that just put this feeling in me, and that I would get very defensive, and it was scared. It was really scared, even though, my daughter's 8 years old, she's yelling and I'm getting scared because it's like, I'm that little kid again. And it took me a long time to get past that. But like the moment I had that aha moment, it was like, wow. And like the connection and how I feel about it now. And when she still gets loud, for me to turn around and say, sweetie, can we bring the volume down a little bit? And I've shared with her too what happened to me as a kid and why it bothers me too. So we have a much bigger, better connection on this.
That's beautiful. Okay, now listen, y'all. Let me tell you something. I have not met a mama with a daughter with bigger feelings than Tina. Tina, our first few coaching calls, when you had described your little girl, I thought, wow, now there's a full contact sport. So talk to me about what it's been like for you to accept and work with her big feelings while working on your own, and just where are you in this journey?
Yeah, this goes exactly in line with what you guys were saying of, it starts like I'm working on myself. When I initially, started joining the calls, I was looking for advice of like, okay, what can I do to fix her? And really very quickly, I realized like, it's like 99.9% of the work is going to be me. And then it just has naturally fallen into place when I work on my big emotions. My daughter's big emotions mirror mine. Literally, when I first joined the Hive, I was exploding at least probably once or twice a week. And now it's maybe once a month. I wouldn't even say every month. And it's at a much, much reduced level. And my daughter has just fallen right along with that. And it hasn't even been a year, but I can't even put into words how proud I am of her, that I haven't really had to do anything for her. It's really just been me changing what I'm doing. She's my mini me. She mirrors mama, everything that I do. So I knew that I had to work on both people, but it's just amazing. I don't want to say how simple, because this all is, in the grand scheme of things, is quite complex, but just working on myself, it just has been a natural falling into place of she's pretty much mirrored me on my journey. And it's I just think it's beautiful.
I think that's a beautiful explanation of modeling, that we talk a lot about that in the Hive, right? Modeling, because we do model for our children. Our children don't do what we say, they do what we do, right? And also, Tina, I think you expressed it so beautifully. The tools really are simple. They're just not easy to implement, right? They take commitment, they take work. That's why I love the product, if you will, of the Hive, because you get 3 chances a week to come and ask questions, get coaching, listen to someone else get coached. If Dina's talking, right, Viv can listen and say, oh, where does that apply to me? Oh, they're talking about inner child. I didn't even know that I had some inner child issues I need to work through. And then the following week, you think about it, you reflect, you see what comes up. And it's also it's an ongoing journey. I always think of parenting, any really self-development is like an onion. You peel back the outer layer and there's another layer, and then another layer, and there's another layer. And that's why I think the ongoing coaching is just so useful. If you drop out for a couple of weeks because life gets busy and there's a school play and soccer's going on, and then you hit a bump in the road, it's like, oh, let me just touch base with the Hive and get right back on track. We literally a couple of weeks ago had a mom that got called from her school, her kid's school. Her daughter, I think, is in kindergarten or first grade. And she got that first phone call, right? That, come to the office. The mom goes to the office. The school reports the daughter did such and such. The mom's driving home. She's thinking, I don't know what to do. Her text message chimes that there's a Hive call. She goes home and gets on the Hive call, and we work through exactly what to do. And she reports the next day that it went beautifully. She was able to regulate herself, really think about what the consequences could or should or maybe not be. She ended up working with it on her child. Her co-parent came home. She was able to help him regulate, and they were able to get right back on track in a meaningful way. That's why we say progress, not perfection, right? We're not going for perfection here. We're going for progress. So tell us what it's been like for you as a mom of 4 kids, dissecting or figuring out your 4 different styles and personalities and how to connect with each kid in a different but meaningful way. Can you speak to that?
Yeah. So my oldest is strong-willed and my youngest is strong-willed. And then I've got the 2 in the middle that are pretty peaceful. But one of the things, I tend to get the most coaching around my oldest son. He's my first, so there's a lot of learning to do there. But I've also asked for coaching on just how to connect with the middle 2. And so in particular with my daughter, my son is very much words. We have lots of conversations and that's how we connect. But when it comes to my daughter, it's not words. She does not like to be asked questions. She does not, if I ask her something, everything is, I don't know. And I'm just like, can we go under the I don't know? Can we peel it back a little bit? And so the one coaching with you, I realized that if I could share a journal with her and go back and forth, that would be a way to connect. And it was Mother's Day and she put the journal on my pillow and she said, Mom, I had a really hard day. I had gotten a watch for Mother's Day. So I had passed my watch to my son and my son passed his watch to his brother. And she said, I didn't get a watch. And I was really upset. And I would have had no idea because I thought the day was great. We went for a hike and we had a great day. And I was just so thankful that she was able to express that. And then we were able to connect and talk. And actually we wrote back and forth. We didn't talk, but I wouldn't have otherwise known that. So It's been so beautiful to figure out how to come alongside each kid. Like peaceful parenting is that definition of coming alongside of them. I've really appreciated understanding what that means and what that looks like and, filling their love tank in the way that they need their love tank filled.
That's so great. Yeah. I've never met someone that has 4 kids who are so different as yours. And it's been really beautiful to watch you connect with each one of them, connect in their connection language, which is different oftentimes for our children, right? There's more podcasts to come about that. So I'm really working on that right now, is helping parents connect. You have to connect in your child's connection language. And it's different for each person, different for each kid. So figuring that out and connecting with them in that way has really brought a lot of closeness, it feels like, to your family. Like everybody in your family feels understood. Yes?
Yes. And it's different for each one of them. I mean, for my oldest, it's, taking him out and going and get something to eat.
Right. Walk to the 7-Eleven and get Buffalo Pop Chips.
Yeah. Buffalo Pop Chips and walk to the park and, just talk to each other and connect. With my daughter, it's the journal. With my son, who number 3, he's a lot like me where, he's a rule follower. He likes to keep things peaceful. And at first I wasn't sure how to connect with him, but in one of somebody else getting coaching, I realized like with him, it's the little gifts, it's the little things. Like it's right now for November, we're doing this thing about dinosaurs. I hide a dinosaur every day and he has to find it. And he is loving that. His dinosaur was in his lunchbox today and he's like, I'm taking it to school. I was like, make sure you bring it back. But just finding each way. And then my youngest, his is, just physical touch. And before it used to kind of trigger me, the constant like touching. But then, learning like, okay, this is what he needs. He needs me to give him a big hug. And we do the squeezy hugs, like 10 seconds and we count and he squeezes and then we can be done.
There you go.
Move on and play. And so him being a lot like my oldest, I can just see how I'm parenting him so differently. And his storms, which used to be humongous, are now so short. And I realized like, this is not going to last forever. This is going to be really short and we're both going to be able to move on. And so it's been learning for each of them how to connect. That's really been a gift.
And if you were giving those squeezy hugs to your daughter, that would be a disaster, right? So just figuring all that out. Okay, let's wrap up with this question. Tell our listeners, tell someone who's thinking of doing this work, who's thinking of jumping in, like, oh, I love what Viv and Dominique and Tina had to say, and what Juliana said really spoke to me. And I feel like Dina and I are soul sisters when she talks. And that's where I'm at right now. And maybe, just maybe I should jump in and do this. what advice would you have, or what would you tell anyone who is thinking of working with me, of joining the Hive, or getting on the path to peaceful parenting? What do you want them to know?
They're not alone. And when you get into this community, I'm going to get emotional here. There's such an amazing support, and it makes you really understand that it's progress over perfection, and you're still going to make mistakes, but you're going to be able to learn and use those tools to have such a better connection with your child or children and bring yourself up too along the way. I've changed so much in this past year and seen so much that I now can share and be more connected with my daughter.
So great. Dominique, what would be your words?
It is so worth it. The journey that you set on in peaceful parenting is so worth it, because talking to my kiddos the other night, and we were talking about my mom, and she asked one of my daughters asked, why don't me and my mom get along so well sometimes? And I can't remember exactly what the conversation was about, but I told her, I was like, you remember how I used to yell all the time and scream, and how it was just very chaotic in our house? That's kind of how I grew up. And I said, in your opinion, are things different now? And they said, oh, yes, mommy. Mm-hmm. You seem so happy now. And I said, I am happy now. I am much happier now. And they said, and we love to talk to you. We love to just spend time with you without worrying about what's not getting done. And I said, and I enjoy it too. I love spending time with you guys and relaxing with you guys. So the journey is so worth it. The growth is so worth it.
Oh, Dominique, when they recognize that, I mean, you must have just melted.
Absolutely melted. And I'm going to cry. But,
I think one of the most beautiful gifts, I probably don't talk about this enough, but I think one of the most beautiful gifts we can give our children is for our children to see us happy, no matter the circumstances, right? I mean, life isn't happy every moment. There's tragedy, there's loss, there's things that happen. But if over the course of 18 years, your children get to see you enjoy life, be happy, I think it's one of the greatest models we can give our kids. And this was honestly, I don't think I've talked about this enough, but one of my motivations when Malcolm was little is I just felt grumpy and angry around him all the time. And when I reflect back on my childhood, everybody that I grew up with, everybody was angry all the time. And I just didn't want that for him. I wanted him to see me at my best. And they learned from that, again, modeling. Yeah. Tina, what would you want someone to hear that's on this journey?
I mean, echoing what everyone has said, it literally is life-changing. Like, it's not just like a catchphrase. It literally has changed our household. Like, if anyone has hesitations of reasons that they're like, oh, I don't know. Like, my two hesitations were time. Will I be able to join the calls because I work? And to that, I would say, I don't know if I've been on a call in 6 months. I listened to the recordings and it still has drastically changed my parenting, because so much of what the moms have gone through, it's going on in similar but somewhat different situations. But the coaching that you give, Lisa, is so applicable. I join the calls when I can, but there's still so much benefit to listening to the recordings. And then the other hesitation of the cost, I would say I have been through a lifetime of therapy, and it is literally pennies compared to what I have invested in therapy, and the outcomes and the growth and the progress that I've received from the Hive is just so significant compared to anything else. And really, if you think about, what's it worth for me to change myself and my child, it's for what you pay. It's just the investment impactful for your child and your family. So I would say do it.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you. That's beautiful. Viv, What would you say?
So, two things come to mind. I really enjoyed how you have explained brain science. And I can remember the moment in my room where I don't remember the circumstance, but my thought was, I don't know how to do this. And like, I instantly caught myself and I was like, that thought does not serve me at all. And I do know what to do because I was growing in just my confidence in parenting. And then my very next thought was, and if I don't, I will ask Lisa, or I will, jump on a Hive call and I will get the help that I need. I will find it. I can do it. And the other thing that comes to mind, if someone's kind of hesitating, is the acceptance that we learn about accepting our child's light side and their shadow side. It was very much at the beginning of peaceful parenting. And, my oldest had done something that it was really tough and we needed to kind of work through. But I remember having that conversation and being able to look at him and say, no matter what, like, I love you just the way you are. No matter what you do, I will always love you just the way you are. And I saw his whole body just like relax and like he'd kind of released all of that. And I keep coming back to that, just that connection of being able to say that to him and to mean that and to accept him like just the way that he is. This is a process problem. This isn't a character problem. That I always come back to that connection of just, I knew I wanted that and I just didn't know how to get there. But so many instances now that I've been able to have that, most particularly with him, of just being able to accept him as he presents and to know that he's a strong-willed kid and he's going to change the world and that I love him just the way that he is and that he can feel that from me and believe that when I say that to him.
So great. Yeah. All right, Juliana, tell us what sage advice you would share with someone thinking of jumping into this world after hearing, today's episode.
I definitely would say that you and the team and the group is like our best friend. And just like any best friend in the world, no matter where you are, if you are located in New Zealand or you are in Europe or here in America, sometimes best friends are not just telling us what we want to hear. And actually, truer a friend is, they are telling it even deeper and in a very honest way, what we need to hear. And many times to hear what we need to hear and what we need to change or what's the new technique or another way to think about the situation that pops up is not easy. It's very hard. It makes us tear down. It makes us think about, am I good enough? And it's going to be hard either way. But then this is the right type of hard that moves us forward.
Mm-hmm.
So again, if you are hesitant, wherever you hear this message, that you might not be understanding the techniques or it's not going to be what you need, I can only make the analog that what you are offering and what the team is offering here is getting that manual that we all wish to have gotten in the hospital. So when we arrive home and that door is closing and you are now what? This is the book, this is the voice, this is the basics that we always need to go back.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
All right. This was wonderful. Exceeded my wildest dreams. You guys hit on all the points that I had hoped we would and then some. And I just feel so honored. I didn't really know that you all felt this way. I mean,
can I just say from the bottom of my heart, how thankful I am for the way that you changed our family and went on this journey with me and have been there holding space and giving me the tools that I need. I am so, so thankful that you came into our lives right when we needed you to. And I just appreciate all the work that you pour into the Hive and you pour into our community and all the work that you pour into us and just how that is truly changing families, one family at a time around the world. Wow. It is invaluable work. And I'm just so grateful and thankful.
I appreciate that.
Share that.
And I hear that. And can I tell you this? What's weird about this whole thing? Honest to God, it's not hard work. That's weird. I mean, it's hours. Yes. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like I've done hard work before. You know, I've had jobs that were hard. It's almost like it just comes to me. I don't know. It's weird. It's hard to explain. It's like I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't find it exhausting. I don't find it difficult. I don't find it tiresome. Sometimes my husband's like, "Are you done with that yet?" And I'm like, no, I'm not. I get really excited about the Hive calls and the transformation. And, when I meet someone and then months later, they're doing the work effortlessly within their family. So I appreciate it. I'm very happy that I met you all. And it feels like I'm doing the work I'm meant to do. So I guess that's a good thing, right? It means I can keep doing it.
Yeah, keep doing it.
Well, I am honored to have you all join me today. And I'm so pleased that we got a chance to talk about this, because the goal really today was to inspire one family, to let everybody know you're not alone in this journey. And it's never too late to join. I don't care what age your kids are. You're not broken. You just need new tools to show up differently in your parenting. And the real goal of today's 100th episode was to say to you as the listener, well done. You're showing up, you're listening, you're putting the tools into work. And if you feel ready to take the next step, ready to join a community, ready to not feel alone, ready to have someone hold space for you, ready to get on the path to peaceful parenting, please accept the invitation. On behalf of all of us, please accept the invitation to come and join the Hive. You won't regret it. There's absolutely no obligation. And what lies once you join is community, is support, is coaching, is transformation. So if this speaks to you in any way, go right now to thehivecoaching.com, thehivecoaching.com, and join. Just do it. Just join. There's no obligation. You can cancel at any time. You can come and kick the tires. You can meet Tina and Viv and Dominique and Juliana and Dina and see if what they said is really true, which it will turn out to be true. But here's my challenge to you. Here's your homework. If this speaks to you at all, don't hesitate. Just join and come to one of the calls and get on the path to peaceful parenting. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed listening to these parents as much as I did. I adore you all. I'm so grateful that you were here today. And listener, I'm grateful for you too. And until we meet again, I'm wishing you peaceful parenting.
Thanks for listening to Real World Peaceful Parenting. If you want more info on how you can transform your parenting, visit thepeacefulparent.com. See you soon.